Okay, our microphone is hot. Once again, JV Wins is here. Dogon SS is here. Back for another edition of the Conscious Approach Video Series podcast, YouTube show, whatever you want to call it.
That's
On the
right.
YouTube channel. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Before we get started with this week's stream, of course, go ahead and give you boys a big solid and hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so. Much appreciation to everyone in advance, and also appreciation to those who have already subscribed to the channel. We most certainly appreciate your support as we continue to make these fun little videos each and every week. So, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, leave a comment, let us know what you think about the commentary in these videos because we
You
certainly appreciate it. Now, with that out of the way, we'll go ahead and kick things off. This week, we are going to talk about this drama that is unfolding between former NFL defensive lineman Michael Oher, who was the subject of the film The Blind Side. So, for anyone who has not seen The Blind Side, go ahead and check that out. It depicted a dramatization of Michael Oher's story, or so we thought, in which he was orphaned and he was adopted by this family, and they sort of helped guide him along in life. He ended up going to Ole Miss, where he was a college star, got drafted, went to the NFL. He was a pretty good NFL player, but apparently, not all is what it seems with that film. And on top of Michael Oher now going public saying that he feels as though it was not a good depiction of who he is as a person, he is also suggesting that he was not adequately compensated in a manner that is commensurate with his involvement in the project. So this has spurred all sorts of debates and conversations in the entertainment world. And of course, we are going to cover it here. So we thought we would go ahead and kick things off with this particular topic. It's pretty interesting.
Mm.
So we will go ahead and obviously, as we like to do, provide a little context first before we give our 2 cents on what's going on with this story. We'll go ahead and share this screen here. This is from an article published by Slash Film. It says, subject of The Blind Side alleges film is based on lie and made everyone rich except him. So I'm going to go ahead and skip the first paragraph because it's just a bunch of introductory filler, and I'm just going to go all the way down here to the meat.
Yeah.
In most cases, no one gets hurt by a filmmaker taking a liberty or 10 to tell a more stirring story. 2006's The Blind Side, however, may be a truly disturbing exception. According to ESPN, Michael Oher, the offensive lineman, so that's my bad. I misspoke. I said he was a defensive lineman. He was on the offensive line. So correction there. The offensive lineman who was portrayed as having been plucked out of poverty and transformed into a top football prospect by Sean and Leanne Tuohy has filed a 14-page petition in a Tennessee court alleging that Tuohy's misled him into signing a document that made the couple his conservators. Furthermore, he claims they profited handsomely from the 2009 blockbuster while he hasn't seen a cent. There have been chips forming in this feel good stories facade for years, but if what Orr alleges is true, The Blind Side, which starred Sandra Bullock as Leanne, a performance that won her a Best Actress Oscar, was a deeply dishonest hagiography. I don't know if I said that word. I'm not sure or familiar with that word. Hagiography, designed to line the pockets of the Tuohys at his emotional expense. Let's take a closer look at the charges. Per the petition, the conservatorship has allowed the Tuohys and their two birth children to rake in millions of dollars in royalties. They've also continued to call Orr their adoptive son as a means of promoting the film's Making It Happen Foundation while bolstering Leanne's side career as a motivational speaker. The legal filing reads thusly, so I'm not going to read that. Or is seeking an end to the conservatorship and an accounting of how much money the Tuohys have made off his name and likeness, which could get sticky if lawyers can take a look at the foundation's books. He is also requesting his share of the profits and an injunction against the family's further attempts to capitalize on what appears to be a self-serving misrepresentation of his story. Previously, the Tuohys, who have yet to comment on the filing, have claimed they shared whatever profits they earned from the film with Oher. But it's not just about the money for Oher, it's about the movie and how he was portrayed in it. According to his recently released autobiography, When Your Back's Against the Wall, Oher was wounded by the film's depiction of him as unintelligent. As he told ESPN in 2015, people look at me and they take things away from me because of a movie. They don't really see the skills and the kind of player I am. The film is based on Michael Lewis's The Blind Side Evolution of the Game, a non-fiction account split between or story and a deep tissue analysis of how NFL legend Lawrence Taylor changed the way offensive lines defend pass rushers. So yada 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 yada. So on top of him feeling like he was jilted and cheated for signing a document that handed over conservatorship rights to the Tuohy family, he also feels as though the film depicted him as unintelligent. He wasn't too appreciative of that. Now, to make this even more strange, the internet, all as it always likes to do, also wants its pound of flesh. So apparently the internet is claiming that because of this, Sandra Bullock should give her Oscar back. So this article from TMZ says Twitter wants her Blindside Oscar pulled after Oher controversy. Twitter is home to a lot of ridiculous opinions, but the latest trend involving Sandra Bullock might be the app's worst. Users are calling for her to lose her Oscar on the heels of the Blindside controversy. It's about as crazy as it sounds, especially since there's zero evidence Bullock, who played Leanne Tuohy in the movie, had any claim of the drama behind the scenes with Michael Oher and the Tuohy family. One user wrote, "So Sandra Bullock should have to give back her Oscar, right? And man, do we need to start checking these good feeling stories. Her parents marked $300 in earnings, the movie from him getting any of it and gave the money to their real children. Wow." Another says, "If the Michael Oher allegations are true, then we have to go and take the Oscar back from Sandra Bullock and give it to Gabourey Sidibe for Precious." And Sandra Bullock should give her Oscar back. She knows she didn't deserve that shit. And so there are screen captions of some of these tweets running around. And you also have some people who are defending Sandra Bullock. However, there's also people coming to her defense, writing, "Now, not y'all." I think they meant to say now. Well, it was a typo. People really need to start checking their grammar when they go to social media. Now y'all calling for Sandra Bullock's Oscar to be revoked. It ain't her fault the real life people were exploitative scammers and thieves. And you know Sandra Bullock deserved her Oscar because she acted so well, she made the Tuohy family likable. So there is definitely shrapnel all around for this particular story, but it looks to be pretty ugly and getting uglier. So what do you make of this particular situation, as well as Sandra Bullock being demanded by the internet to give her Oscar back because there's controversy surrounding this movie?
Boy, I mean, let's see. This whole dynamic here, this whole dynamic here is a bit sad. When I forgot who told me to watch this movie. I forgot who it was. But some girl I was talking to really liked the movie. And she told me to watch it. And one day it was on, I don't forgot where I was at, but I'm watching this somewhere. But it was relatively recent, I would say, I guess. At least, old enough to have context of what the hell I was looking at. And so I'm sitting there looking and watching, this thing. And it was a feel good story. It was some stuff in there that just wasn't adding up. And I'm a big college football enthusiast, right? And the way the story was going, it made him seem like he was just some orphan who didn't even play football at all. And also, it was it was stuff where they were trying to like teach him like just teach him football, and it was like, you don't go to Ole Miss on a full blown scholarship just because you know 6'3", 300 pounds, So there has to be something to this guy for him to be even getting scouted by Ole Miss. Now, granted, the story was taking him from some whatever guy and making him into this person, but it doesn't happen like that, especially with old linemen. And this is the point. So I'm like, that's not really adding up. Then once I found out that those two, the two people that adopted him, in air quotes, were boosters for Ole Miss, and I was like, oh, well, there you go. So that this just adds up even more. By the way, so for those of you that are not aware, boosters are like, donors, fundraisers for the university. They're like, evangelical people at a church. They just raising money. They're pro team. And so these two pro team Ole Missians find this orphan in air quotes, and then take him in, and then get paid when he finally goes to the NFL. So to me, I was like, man, this is sketchy. I don't like this. So the story, when I'm watching it, wasn't really making sense. Then I really didn't feel good about it. But I said, hey, he loved these people. They took him in when nobody else would, and all this other whoop-de-whoop. So I just wrote it all off. So coming to find out, he didn't like the story, his depiction. It did make him look dumb. It made him look just like a waste of a person. Even when he morphed into Super Michael Oher in the movie, he still looked pathetic. So it was a feel good story. And if I was a young and impressionable person, I would have got swooped right in on that, in on that. But as I'm reading the comment section, as this stuff was going down, I'm seeing so many people saying, oh man, my childhood was ruined, or oh man, just when I thought there was good people in the world, and all, people were really hurt by this. But again, if you look at it, if you look at it from a bird's eye view, this story wasn't really adding up in the first damn place. And to find out that these people really took it there, allegedly, to just scam him out of even thinking that he's getting adopted, just so they can get his name and likeness, and then not even cut him $1 for the movies. This is ridiculous. This is the biggest bait and switch I've ever heard in my entire life. And so I have no empathy for those people. They've seen predatory from the beginning. The movie seemed like a cash grab for them. She writing books, motivational speaking. She made a whole career out of stealing a whole young man's life. And so they say he just, in air quotes, he found out this February, allegedly. So he just found out, apparently. But, the NFL dollars ain't rolling in no more. So I'm pretty sure he's getting a look in that stuff. And, hey, wait a second. I'm not getting paid for that movie. Yeah, bro, you're not. So, and real quick with the Sandra Bullock thing, I was applauding that on as you were reading that, because, yeah, take it. Take her trophy. And I'm going to tell you why. So long as they're holding Reggie Bush's Heisman Trophy hostage for taking, a car or some shoes or sign, it was something real petty. It wasn't even a car. It was something very petty. And so for them to target Reggie Bush and then take his Heisman Trophy as if he wasn't the most electrifying player that year, I call BS on that. And so, yeah, take her Oscar. It's some part about it. It was like, hey man, this was an authentic movie. The reason why she won it, was because it was supposed to be based on a true story. If this was if this wasn't based on a true story, it was a Lifetime movie and nobody would have cared. But I'm just teasing. I really don't think they should have taken it away, but they should have taken it away. What about you, man? How do you feel about this whole fiasco? It is a mess from A to Z, man. So, how do you make this?
It is a mess from A to Z, and hopefully this wises more people up to the fact that these sports movies that are based on a true story, especially the ones that center around a player being able to make it to college, are exploitative. So if you don't want to be a part of supporting, funding, making something that is rooted in exploitation profitable, then you shouldn't spend your money behind it. And to even to that end, like college sports is exploitation, and we've always known that. So it stands to reason that any offshoot of college athletics in the entertainment industry is also going to be exploitative. So if you don't want to fund or support things that are blatantly exploitative, then don't go watch the movie. Now I'm gonna cut people a pass. Usually I like to kind of get on my soapbox and tell people how they're full of shit because they want to complain about stuff when they willfully support it. But it would appear as though a wool was pulled over everybody's eyes because everyone thought this was a true story that everybody was in on or included. And now that it's come to light that Orr is not necessarily in the know when it comes to or was not in the know in terms of being in favor of the way that he was depicted in the movie. And by the way, certain aspects of his depiction, I got to rock with him on that. It's like he was John Coffey, but the football player sports
Yeah,
version.
yeah,
It was like he
yeah.
was an oaf. Yeah, it was like he was an oaf who was given the gift of football by this benevolent family.
Exactly,
Uh,
dude.
and rarely are those situations what they seem to be when depicted in film.
Hmm.
So this thing was exploitation all the way around because these guys are exploited from the time that they step foot on a college campus, or even before that, from the time that they step foot on a high school football field. It's a cash grab. How
Hmm.
much can we extract from this person's existence? And usually, 9 times out of 10, these people don't have individuals around them who are selfless enough to ensure that those people get the lion's share of the return for the work that they are going to inevitably put in. Most of these individuals like or are surrounded by opportunists who are going to see that you reap some sort of benefit, but they're also going to make sure that they get some kind of benefit themselves. And oftentimes they see to it that they get an even greater benefit than you do. So it's like those royalty checks from that movie are going to keep kicking in long after Aura's playing career is over, and it's been over. And so into perpetuity, that family is going to see a return on that investment that the very subject of the movie is not going to get. And there's something that feels wrong about that. However, this complex, because the entertainment complex is just that, it's a complex. It runs on the same sort of machinations as prison complexes and the sexual marketplace and everything else that is sort of an industrialized complex in Western America. If you don't want to see it proliferated to this degree, you have to do your due diligence to not support it. And that movie was both critically acclaimed and it was commercially successful. It made a lot of money,
Hmm.
largely off of the star power of Sandra Bullock, but also because the movie sort of caught a wave because it was about an act at the time. It was about an active player, and it was a feel good story, and people love that kind of stuff. But people just need to keep in mind that those stories tend to be a form of exploitation in one way, shape, or form. And thankfully, even though I'm not the biggest fan of NIL all the way around,
Hmm.
it at least lessens outside influences ability to strip these guys of the opportunity to collect as much as they can off of the work that they are going to put in. So there's still some aspects of regulations that need to get put in place for things like NIL, but at the end of the day, the idea that they're not going to get totally screwed because of the work that they put in, I'm a big fan of that. But when you get to the point where you're talking about the movie industry and these big budget movies with these Hollywood people, there's an exploitation element that is playing a factor there. And if you want to hold these entities accountable for at the very least getting the story right, then just don't go see the movie because the less money these movies make, like the less profitable that these projects are, the higher the likelihood that the individuals who are behind the curtain are going to see to it that everybody who is presented in the film um, is depicted accurately, correctly, that people are paid accurately and correctly, and all of that kind of stuff. So it's a trickle down effect for sure. But just make sure that you put your money where your mouth is, because yeah, you could tell from the time this movie was released that there's exploitation written all over it. And as for Sandra Bullock, leave her alone. Unless you can prove, unless you can prove to me that she was in on or getting screwed, all she did was say, "Oh, okay, cool movie." She was duped like the rest of us, I believe. She was just like, "All right, cool movie. I'll act in it, whatever." And she acted, and so she was given a trophy for her acting job. So she don't have nothing to do with this. I don't think she should have to give her trophy back. But that's what the internet is nowadays. Like, we need all the pounds of flesh that we possibly can.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there's an element of race that is embedded in this as well, because if Sandra Bullock was a black actress and this was a movie about a black family, no one would be saying this. But because Sandra Bullock is a white actress, we need the pitchforks brought out so that she can give her trophy back. And it doesn't help the situation that that was the year where that Precious movie was nominated for an award too, and so that's also a black actress and blah 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 blah. But I'll say leave her alone. She ain't have nothing to do with it. That's her trophy. It is what it is. This was like 13 years ago. So who cares anyway? Why do you put so much stock into those stupid ass trophies anyway, or those award shows for that matter? But let her do what she does and just understand how to not support elements of entertainment that are rooted in exploitation. And for that matter, professional and college sports as well. But people love their sports, so you're going to have to decide how much of a sacrifice you're willing to make to see to it that these things don't continue to happen. Because so long as these industries continue to make the billions of dollars that they make, and make no mistake about it, this movie ties into the success of college football too. So it's all intertwined as far as I can tell. And that movie is as successful as it can be, at least in some part, because of the success of college football, which is professional football masquerading as college athletics, even still, which in and of itself is a form of exploitation. So I know we all love our college football, myself included. It has vaulted to probably my second favorite sport to this day. But just understand what you're watching. Know that it's all exploitation. And if there's an aspect of you that feels a certain type of way about Michael Oher getting jilted, then just know what you're watching and just go to the theaters with the right state of mind and put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah, I can see that angle, but I mean, I guess for those watching, but the masses, man, they gonna eat up whatever. So exploitation or not, honestly, they prefer the exploitation. They were whoa, somebody's getting exploited. Yeah. It's right there. Theater B. They're going to theater B. You could say, hey, theater A, all right, it's got a feel good story based on a true story. Theater B, all right, is roughly based on a true story. All right. It's got some ignorance, some mayhem in it. Whoa. Exploitation. Well, I'm sold. They're going over there. That's like sprinkling MSG on a film. You sprinkle MSG on a film, it's gonna pop. Everybody gonna want that. So these people gonna take their high fructose corn syrup, bro. So they gonna take it. They want that exploitation. Hell, the other night, I'm sitting here, scrolling through whatever that was. Then I see a TV show on, I think it's like Netflix or something, and it was called Down for Love or something like that. And they call it Down for Love, but the show is centered around people with Down syndrome. And I was like, wait a second. So they based a whole show off exploiting people with Down syndrome, shows about little people. Bro, they'll do anything to exploit people, and people are signing up for these things because you don't want to laugh at exploitation. I don't want to laugh at exploitation, but there's a large population of people that get rocks off by watching other people getting exploited. So consciously or subconsciously. So it's a thing, man. I wish. I mean, that's how I pretty much look at it. I whenever I look at something that's based on the true story, I know there's some embellishment going on. All right. So, but at the same time, the way they just threw homeboy under the bus, it really just didn't connect. In order to be a first round pick in the NFL,
In
all right,
the SEC, yeah.
and playing in the SEC,
Yeah.
you don't suck. You didn't just start playing yesterday. I found out this guy, he ran track. He did all kinds of stuff. He played basketball. He was a multi-sport athlete before he met these people.
And he could read.
Read. How about that? You know what I'm saying? So, but then, but here comes Sandra Bullock, and then she goes, "Hey, football." And then here comes movie Michael Oher. Football? Yes, football. And yeah, that's how they made him seem the whole movie. Lock. And then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, he's running through people and doing all this stuff, and then becomes a recruiter at Ole Miss. Yeah, right. So there was also some weird connection between these two people and Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze was like, I think something like his coach or something, or in high school or whatever, but then became a coach at Ole Miss and then recruited and so it was a whole collusion going around with this kid. So this was a whole game plan, first degree exploitation. This was mapped out from a long time ago, and they kept the charade going. They had so many opportunities to go, hey, you know what? Hey, bro, here's a little something. They didn't care. They would have kept running with this whole thing. And that's the really sick part about this. So, but when you're dealing with these boosters or these universities, all right, these universities, all right, they like to, like you say, bro, exploit athletes. And this situation here, right? So that the university is the big entity, but then there's people that work within these structures that view these players literally like crop.
Mm-hmm.
And so in this situation here, they played this young man like crop, like live cattle. And they plotted around this man's whole existence, no different than a farm animal. So they didn't see anything about it. There was a part of me, because there's always a part of me whenever, I see a kid that was going through foster care or whatever, and, orphan or what have you, and they're adopted by, a family that's well off. The kid grows up a little confused about existence because, what's going on. So, and I can tell that, whoever raised them, aided in that confusion. It's a part about me that goes, man, that sucks that this kid, is, low key out of his mind because of the conditions he was raised in, even though they were good. But then it's like, okay, well, what do you want him to do? Be an orphans? Be an orphan and be in, group home to group home, get abused in all other kind of ways. So as a part about it, I was like, hey man, well, I don't like the fact that he got exploited, but this is back before I knew all this. I was like, I don't like the fact that he got exploited by these people. I don't like this movie. I don't like none of this. But, what would his life had been had he not been? I was buying into the hype. But but like he said, he was already on a track to go somewhere anyway without these people help. So I'm glad the truth just came out. The masses, hopefully, people that some people can catch a wake up call from this. But I'm telling you, man, the next piece of garbage that's getting rolled out, it can, people going to eat it up, man. People want to believe in something. So when they give them these type of feel good stories, man, true or not, bro, people going to eat it up. So sad story all the way around, but I'm glad this guy's getting his payback somehow.
Well, I hope he does get his payback.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he does get his payback. Dan Lebatard likes to call, the way that sort of college football players in particular are viewed as like just disposable bodies.
Yeah.
and their disposable bodies, not just to the apparatus of the universities, but their disposable bodies also to the the apparatus that makes college football a $1 billion industry, which is its incredibly huge fan base. Without the fan base, there's no money in corporate sponsorships, advertising, TV contracts. There's no money in any of these things if it's not for the fan base. Gambling also. There's a lot of money in gambling on college football. These things are not profitable if it's not for the fan base that supports it. So I've always largely found people who complain, because I already know what the deal is. So you're not going to hear me crying about exploitation in any college or pro sport, because I know I'm a consumer and I already know what the deal is. So I'm not going to have my cake and eat it too, trying to be a champion for these guys to be treated better and not be exploited when it's not possible for them to not be exploited. I already know what the deal is. It's almost like it's a backhanded agreement behind closed doors. You
Mm-hmm.
get into this, man, you're going to get exploited. It is what it
Mm-hmm.
is. And
Mm-hmm.
as a fan, if you like following this, gambling on it, if you purchase, the ticket or whatever it is, whatever you do, cable streaming that allows you to watch every game and you pay your subscription fee every month, like, you're actively a part of the machine of exploitation. So for you to then be someone who wants to talk about someone's justice getting served, or someone's due getting credited to them, you're a part of the problem. Now, I'm not going to be doing that because I know I'm a part of the problem, straight up. Because it's like, I hear all of that, but at the end of the day, I'm going to wake up on Saturday, I'm going to watch game day, or maybe now I'm going to watch, you
Yeah,
know,
bro. Okay.
Big Moon Kickoff. I don't know if I'm still watching game day because ESPN is just crazy. But I know I'm gonna wake up on Saturday. I'm gonna, put in tickets if I'm gambling, or I'm going to, do whatever I'm doing, and I'm gonna watch my games and I'm gonna enjoy the exploitation. I'm going to enjoy the exploitation. And I'm not then going to turn around and holler about the injustice when the injustice exists in part because of my support of said exploitation. So my whole thing with this situation is people need to realize, if y'all don't realize by now, your support of college football is supporting of situations that end in movies like The Blind Side getting made. Now, I recognize this, therefore, I am not appalled by these revelations coming to light. I'm not outraged. I'm not going to sit there and engage in righteous indignation, calling for Michael Oher to get his money. I hope he gets his money because everybody deserves their money. And I hope he gets to clear his name from the standpoint that that movie did not necessarily depict him all that accurately. All that is fair. But I'm also not going to sit around calling for this type of stuff to end, because it won't. I support this machine, and I'm a willful participant because I want my college football. I'm a glutton for it, just like most people who support, just like most people who love it. So at the end of the day, if you truly are about that justice life, and you're truly about these guys not getting exploited in films and entertainment, on the field, by the universities, by boosters, by everybody else, politicians, lobbyists, this stuff is $1 billion conglomerate, people. And there's advertisers involved, cable TV providers, satellite providers, streaming. You got Apple trying to pay for billions of dollars for the right to have you exclusively stream college football games, right? There's all kinds of money in this stuff. If you're spending your money on this, if you're paying for that thing, then don't sit on your phone talking about how wrong what happened to Michael Oher is. Just, you're a part of that thing. So either understand the role that you play in the ecosystem, and you're a glutton for this stuff, accept it and move on, or unplug from it. And then at that point you have the moral high ground to talk about how things should be. And that's just me kind of getting on my soapbox with sort of a big picture angle, not necessarily saying that that's what people should do. I don't give a damn what you do. I'm sitting here in front of this camera saying I'm gonna keep watching college football regardless. Uh, Albeit me understanding and not being okay necessarily, like, intrinsically, with exploitation. But it is what it is, man. I'm a part of the problem because I'm going to keep watching the sports. So don't watch the sport if you really hate it that much. And in my opinion, if you continue to consume it, continue to watch the games, continue to bet, gamble, and have your parties where everybody comes over, or you spend all day at the bar with your friends watching college football games because of how fun it is, then just accept what comes with it, which is exploitation.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've known people. I know people that stopped watching the NFL. They just stopped because they were tired of the exploitation. They got so
Right.
tired of it, they personally boycotted it. So people can do that. So and they do have the right. I mean, me personally, yeah. I mean, I agree, man. I watch college football, and I'm gonna watch that. But the things that I tell myself to, so I can sleep at night, when all of this stuff is going on is, I don't like the health compromises. That's the one part about this that I do not like. I really cringe when these guys are colliding into each other right now. I don't know because I'm getting older or what, but when I see these guys just collide, full speed, I'm like, geez, golly. Because I
Yeah.
already know what that's doing to them over time. So I really don't like the health part of it all. But what gives me peace of mind is that, if they do make it to the league, they do have an opportunity to financially change their life, or through networking to change their life. Hell, even in college, there's opportunities to change their life. They may not be going pro, but they may be hometown stars in another city and something like that, and have the opportunity. Now, do they all take it? No, but there's opportunities to have a better life by just throwing a ball around. So that's the part about it that I do go, hey, well, change your life, young man. And that's why I cheer for these guys. And, and I watch recruits, coming from, 10th grade and, until they get into the league. And it's like, hey, man, I saw that guy grow up, and I'm happy for him that he finally got a chance. I done seen interviews where he talking about buying his mama house. And now one day he's finally in the league. So that stuff is the reason why I like watching it, although there's exploitation going on. But as you mentioned, in what industry are you not getting exploited? All right. Hey,
Yeah.
I love my job. Ask my job. I love my job. All right. But I know I'm worth more than what I'm getting paid. At
Hmm.
some point, I'm getting exploited here. But you're not making overhead and you're not making income unless somebody's getting exploited. That's literally the definition of capitalism. So, why wouldn't it be, whatever? But it just, to me, it sucks that, impoverished young men, find themselves in positions where they're being taken advantage of by agents, uh, guardians, and all types of stuff by people that they trusted. And for these people to come through, parade around, give motivational speeches. All right, the irony. All right. And to go there and take people's money. That this is a different kind of evil. You know, there's bodies in your basement evil, and then there's this. It's on the spectrum of evil. Like, you went through all this, you went through all these years, you still a foundation and all this other, and he's not getting. That's really sick. So hopefully, like I said, this stuff comes to light, in court, where his name gets restored. The masses, people may not even hear this story, so they're still gonna run with that narrative. That movie gonna live forever. The truth is gonna live as much as people carry it. But hey, over here, bro, Michael Oher, you're redeemed, sir. Congratulations.
Yeah. Shouts out to Lamar, who has his mother as his agent. I know a lot of people criticize him for that thing, but at least if it's your mom representing you, that's one
Yeah,
less possible, succubant who can,
yeah,
sit there and, suckle at the teat of whatever it is that you produce. So,
yeah.
what's up to Illmatic? Appreciate you for joining the chat, man. Thanks for joining in, man. Appreciate that. Uh, yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. This is definitely bigger than some movie though.
Yeah,
So people got to understand that it's more than the movie. It's an entire thing that we all support. It's a $1 billion enterprise. So just um Let your wallet do the talking for you. That's what I say. Let your wallet do the talking for you.
And take Angela Bassett and take Sandra Bullock's Oscar. You know, when you mentioned Pitchfork, I was looking for something. I was like, who has pitchforks anymore? But I'm going to get a pitchfork just so I can pitchfork raise when it's pitchfork season. So, because I always wanted to be a part of a mob where there was burning sticks, burning sticks and pitchforks.
Yeah. Oh, I say leave her alone, but whatever. It is what it is. She ain't do that. What does she do?